approve of sticking plasters. Let the air in, she'd say when I cut my finger, and taught me that children who wore plasters compromised their natural immunity, with potentially fatal consequences in later life. She thought that people who ran at the sight of a wasp were not only cowardly, but counterproductive. What a performance, she'd say as they took off down the garden. It was her contention that only people who made a fuss got stung. What a performance. I didn't know it then, but there was a whole industry committed to promoting this as the only workable outlook in life. Musicals. My mother loved the all or nothingness of musicals, the sheer scale of their ambition, the fact that even the silliness, especially the silliness, invited ridicule to be quiet. They willed you with every fibre to believe in them as much as they believed in themselves. This, she thought, was how it should be. My mother used to say, or was it Lee Martin in Pay Your Way, that in life you had a choice to be a somebody or a nobody. In musicals, nobody's blamed other people for their faults, but they were punished by drowning or falling to their death from the top of a haystack. And if my mother had been a scriptwriter, she'd have had them killed fleeing a swarm of wasps. To give you an idea of the scale of what we're dealing with here, let me tell you about an act of superstition. When I was in my teens, I used to babysit for a family that lived across the street from us. The journey from our house to theirs took approximately 20 seconds, during which time it was my mother's habit to stand at the gate and ward off predators, using a type of maternal sonar that she called singing me across the road. Unlike regular sonar, the sound waves in my mother's version were audible to the human ear and arranged in a pattern that sounded, on a good day, and with the wind in the right direction, a lot like, the hills are alive with the sound of music. In our quiet street, this had the power to disable passers-by as effectively as a missile taking out a warship. I mean, other people ward off predators with Hail Marys and charms. My mother did it with show tunes. The weird thing is, she didn't particularly like the sound of music. She thought it overlong and sentimental. But she knew the power of brand awareness and of taking people by surprise. And for that, she needed a song that everyone, even a mother, knew hadn't been written with Glasgow in mind. For me, the killer moment in the sound of music is when, having fired Maria for resettling the curtains and falling in the lake, Captain Von Trapp hears singing coming from the house. He storms off to investigate. And he stands in the hallway and listens to his children singing in the parlour. The ice around his heart melts, tears spring to his eyes. And he walks into the room crooning that he, the captain, also goes to the hills when his heart is lonely. The children stare at him as if a small mammal has just appeared through the curtain of his fringe, but recovering themselves, they join with their father in the first Von Trapp family sing-along since the death of their mother. And in that moment, the Baroness is defeated, a chill goes through the audience, and Maria has brought music back to the house. And that, my friends, is the magic of the musical. The reason I love musicals is that my mother loved musicals. To my mother, musicals were old friends who could always be relied upon to say the right thing. They cheered you up when you were down, they egged you on when you were miserable, they made you feel lighter than air at all points in between. I can't remember the first musical I saw, but I was still young and pliable enough not to find it strange that the people in them were singing to each other instead of speaking. I was used to this, what with my mother perennially wafting around the house singing, "Oh, sweet mystery of life, at last I found thee, and I'm just a girl who can't say no." She She had no memory for lyrics, and only the slightest attachment to the tune. When my mother sang a song, stray bits of other songs would make spontaneous guest appearances, especially, for some reason, the phrase, "Holy cow," which had worked its way loose from the chorus of "If They Could See Me Now" and would turn up all over the place, usually in the title song from Cabaret. When I was little, the best thing about going to the theatre was getting dressed up and driving down the motorway into town. I learned to look out for anything with an exclamation mark at the end of it. Oklahoma, Hello Dolly, Oliver. When we went to see Oliver, the stage was so far away, it was like watching a flea circus. A child climbed into a coffin and I couldn't get back out again. I recall that Starlight Express was very dark, very loud, and that for no good reason the people in it pretended to be trains. My mother eventually, reluctantly, took me to see Joseph, although she considered the show's biblical theme to be a blasphemy against musical theatre. When I was about 10, we went to see 42nd Street. 42nd Street is a show that can only really be understood by a child. Pure, undiluted life or death. There's Peggy Sawyer, having to learn the entire part in one afternoon. There's the old star, passing on the baton and telling her to be so swell she'll hate her. And there's the director, telling Peggy she has to give and give and give and go out there and nobody come back a star. I applied this to every errand I ran from that day forward, which turned buying penny sweets into a bravura performance for the benefit of any talent scout who might have been lurking behind the card rack at Woolworths.